Evidence is beginning to emerge in the San Bernardino case, and it looks like terrorism. According to CNN, quote, federal authorities believe the female attacker in the San Bernardino mass shooting on Wednesday made a social media post pledging allegiance to ISIS as the violence was in progress. U.S. officials said 27-year-old Tashfeen Malik posted a message on her Facebook pledging allegiance to Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The message was made on an account with a different name. CNN had previously reported that it was believed Farouk communicated with terror suspects overseas. Officials say he became radicalized after marrying Malik in Saudi Arabia last year. The AFP goes on and they add to this, quote, the FBI, who were scouring cell phones and a computer hard drive of the couple, had evidence that Farouk had communicated with extremists domestically and abroad a few years ago. Quoting a senior federal government official, the Los Angeles Times said Farouk was in contact with a small number of suspected extremists, including one who was monitored for terrorism. The Daily Beast is describing the attack and how the events unfolded like this. The first thing they did was dropped off their infant with grandma. So they took their kid, who I think is 6 months old, to be with their grandma. Then they went to their work holiday party to kill all their coworkers who threw them a baby shower. Think about that. These people threw them a baby shower. And then they go there and kill them. And then what they did is they left behind bombs to take out the first responders. But thankfully those malfunctioned, as we spoke about the other day. There were many of them. There were multiple pipe bombs. And here's some more evidence. Nicholas Thalasinos, who is one of the victims, posted about a man who contacted him to call the Jewish people criminals and cowards and told him, you will die and never see Israel as a country. So this happened a day before the attack. This is somebody that one of the attackers knew, and they're saying perhaps this was like a warning sign where he contacted them and he was ranting about the evil Jews in a purely anti-Semitic rant, and said you'll die and never see Israel as a country and all that stuff. So we had last week, it was the Christian terror attack on Planned Parenthood. Now it looks like we have a Muslim terrorist attack in San Bernardino. I mean, we're talking about a situation where fundamentalist religious beliefs and ideas are giving people a rationalization, a framework wherein not only are they permitting themselves to do violence, they think it's the most moral thing to do. And in every case, they give some, examples of they think this is a secular grievance that could go hand in hand with it. But they never make any sense. So like when the Christian terrorists said, no more baby parts. Yeah, but the problem with that is they weren't selling baby parts for profit. What they were doing is donating fetal tissue to medical researchers who then try to cure diseases. Because, they're pro-life, unlike you. So your rationale is not correct. It's not correct on that point. It's not correct on the religiosity front, because your religion is bullshit. So when you say, Jesus is going to forgive me no matter what, so I can do whatever I want, that's not true. Jesus ain't coming. Okay, now in this case with the Muslim fundamentalists, the Islamic terrorists, again, they had mentioned something to a coworker about Israel. You're never going to see Israel, and the Jews have taken over our land or whatever. Okay, so that's a concern for you. How does it make it better by murdering civilians who help people with disabilities who ain't got shit to do with that? That doesn't make it better in any way, shape, or form. If anything, if that's really a concern for you, it'll make it worse. Because the U.S. is only going to crack down more. We're only going to do more interventions and build more military bases. And you don't think that the right wing is going to do an irrational crackdown on innocent Muslims and generalize about all Muslims? So there's no logic to your actions. Even if you say, as Osama bin Laden did, hey, the U.S. sanctions in Iraq, they killed 1.5 million people, that's one of the things I'm mad about. I mean, how does it make it better to attack other innocent civilians? You're, in essence, doing the same thing that you're accusing the other side of being bad people for doing. And then, naturally, whatever religious justifications they give are also bullshit, because we know that their framework for believing that in Christianity, in Islam, in any other religion, Hinduism, for example, those justifications are not true. They're not true. So in India, for example, they kill Muslims. They've done that. They've lynched them recently. There's been a few examples of this because they thought that the person ate beef. But they don't believe in your bullshit fairy tale myths. So if they want to eat it, they can eat it. Now, by the way, in the cases they actually didn't eat it, so it was more of a witch hunt. But even if they did eat it, you fucking lynch them for that. So you're saying beef is more important than Muslims. A cow's life is more important than the life of a Muslim. Well, that belief system is simply wrong. You're incorrect in believing, whatever doctrine it is that pointed you in that direction. In the case of these Muslim terrorists, you're wrong in believing that killing the infidels is justified and right, because that's in a book that has a doctrine of contradictory nonsense and talks about things like Muhammad flying on a winged donkey and there's a bright yellow cow. How can anybody look at this and say, nailed it, sign me up for that one, because that one looks scientific and factual? That's not true. That's not correct. With the Christian terrorists, same thing. They said the Christian terrorist for Planned Parenthood was obsessed with end times happening. But it's not happening. If you believe that, it's simply untrue. So at the end of the day, you have people doing violence. They're super convinced that they're right, but in reality, they are the most wrong. They are embarrassingly wrong, and they act in the most immoral way as they're convinced that they're acting in the most moral way. They follow the Quran literally. Word for word, they're literalists, so the Quran is perfect to them. And I'm going to present the same argument I did the other day when we spoke about a similar story. If that's true, then how do you explain the contradictions in the Quran? So I'm a Muslim crusader, and I'm going to kill the infidels for doing wrong to us, and I'm doing it because Allah commands me to. Well, in the Quran 7:54, it says Allah created the earth in 6 days. And then in 41, lines 9 to 12, the days add up to 8. So your perfect book is not so perfect. There's a contradiction right there. How about in 229, Allah created the earth and then the skies. And in 79, lines 27 to 30, he created the skies first and then the earth. At one part in the Quran, Allah uses water to create humans. And at another part, it says, no, not water, something like pottery. And then there's another part where it says Allah used blood clots to create humans. Which is it? Contradictions all over the place. More. At one point it says it takes 1,000 years to get to heaven. And at another point it says it takes 50,000 years. Your book is not perfect. It's intellectually embarrassing. At one point it says that Christians can get into heaven. At another point it says they can't get into heaven. At one point it says wine is the creation of Satan. At another point, it says that there are rivers of wine in heaven. Which is it? Which is it? No, the book is full of contradictions. It's full of contradictions. You do not kill civilians under any circumstance. You're not the good guy if you do that. You're the bad guy if you do that.